Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes, and glad to have you here with us to do it. All across the U.S. and Canada, and wherever you might be watching, courtesy of our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We appreciate you joining us. A lot to do. Kurt Helin will be here, because if it's a Wednesday on SportsWrap, we're talking about the NBA. The man behind Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Kurt Helin will be with us coming up a little later on in the show. Tiger Woods making news. Might he play the Masters? Is it a good thing if he does? I think it is. Sam Yarnell will be here. He'll opine on that and a whole bunch of other things as we go throughout the show. And Mick Cronin just embarrassed himself. Just absolutely embarrassed himself last night after a loss to Michigan State. You will want to see, if you have not seen Mick Cronin's interaction with a reporter after UCLA got its doors blown off for the second straight game, this time by Michigan State. First it was Michigan that dusted him over the weekend. Now it's Michigan State that does the deed to him last night. Wait until you hear how Mick Cronin exploded on a reporter for a question asked in the postgame. That's coming up a little later on in the show. But we start things out on this Wednesday as we always do. It's time for the big story. And the big story is Tony Clark. By the way, I love the Abe Lincoln impersonation he's got going on with the beard there. Tony Clark is in a world of trouble. And look, and put him to the side for a second. We talked about this yesterday on the show. The latest development on the Tony Clark MLB Players Association story, if you haven't seen it, is that he was having a relationship with his sister-in-law, who also was working and hired by the MLB Players Association in 2023. And that is effectively what caused him to resign as the head of the Players Association. The level of irresponsibility involved here for Tony Clark. When you are at the most pivotal juncture, potentially in the history of the MLB Players Association and its relationship with MLB owners and Rob Manfred, for you to do something so incredibly irresponsible as not just hiring your sister-in-law in 2023, maybe you can get away with that, but then engaging in an inappropriate relationship with somebody that you hired to work for the Players Association that you are the front man for. Like, how does this stuff happen? And I know we see it in all walks of life. We see it in politics. We see it in entertainment. We see it in sports. We see people that, the hubris, that think, I won't get caught. It won't catch up to me. Or even worse, you know that it's going to catch up to you, and you still do something this irresponsible. Because it's not just about you, Tony Clark. And I'm not going to sit here and cry for zillionaire athletes. I'm not talking about the guys at the top of the food chain when you're talking about the Major League Baseball Players Association. I'm talking about the guys at the bottom, the guys making league minimum, the guys scratching and clawing to try and have a Major League Baseball career. Those are the guys I'm thinking about today. The guys who are sitting there wondering, who's leading us into the most important conversation that we've ever had to have, the most important dialogue. And the Players Association has no idea. They had a meeting yesterday. They came out of it going, we don't know who's going to run the Players Association. You've got to get this straightened out before the start of the baseball season, or the black cloud that this is going to cast, not just over the Players Association, but over the sport of baseball. It feels like all the cards right now, all the good cards, are being dealt to the owners and to Rob Manfred. And that they're going to have players on their knees begging to get a deal done. Unless the Players Association makes the right decision when it comes to who they hire to take the place of a guy that was so derelict in his duties that absolutely failed those that he was serving in such a profound way, unless they get the next hire perfect, players are going to be looking at a salary cap in the 2027 Major League Baseball season. I don't see any way around it. Big story number one. Big story number two. This is kind of a smaller story on the radar of people because we're watching the Olympics. The NBA comes back on Thursday night. We're all getting into that stuff. But this is a big story when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs because it's an acknowledgement by the organization that they've got serious problems when it comes to how they're going to construct a roster when they have no way to really get anybody on their team because of salary cap issues. You go and look at the division that the Chiefs are playing in. The Raiders, second most cap space in the NFL. The Chargers, the third most cap space in the NFL. Even the Broncos have $28 million of, or $23 or $24 million of effective cap space right now. The Raiders have almost $77 million. The Chargers, $79 million in effective cap space. You got to scroll all the way down. The Chiefs have no cap space. They have a cap deficit right now, which is why Patrick Mahomes is reworking his contract with the team to try and help free up some cap space. Because looking at what the Chiefs were this past season, coming off a Super Bowl where they got blitzed, and literally and figuratively, by the Philadelphia Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs need to figure out a way to move salaries around to give themselves a chance to improve this team in the offseason. I'm laughing at people talking about, maybe a Tyreek Hill reunion. With what money? What are you going to pay him with? Food vouchers? I mean, there's nothing to give Tyreek Hill. You pay him with legal advice for the next time he gets in trouble with the law? Cheap shot, I know. But what are you going to do? They have no money. And again, there will be some guys that get let go, but the fact of the matter is they're competing against the remainder of their division, and they could wind up in last place. Not talking about next season in the standings. But when it comes to being able to approach guys in free agency, the Chiefs might be a last place team right now in their own division. And that is a scary thought if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Kudos to Patrick Mahomes for reworking his deal for next season. All right, we're going to get into the Tony Clark stuff. Sam Yarnell joins me next. Welcome back to the fun and frivolity that is SportsWrap with Jason Page. Sam Yarnell hangs out with us every day on the show. He is here. Kurt Helin will be here in about 10 minutes. Health permitting. He's feeling it. He's fighting it with all the stuff going on lately. So, we talked about the Tony Clark story yesterday. The news broke right as we were putting together the Tuesday edition of SportsWrap, and all we knew was he was resigning. And we're like, wow, jumping off the sinking ship, following the rats. And, we weren't really sure as to why he was resigning. We knew there were some things going on internally, but I don't think anybody had any indication that it was because he was dating his sister-in-law. Wow. I didn't have that one on my bingo card for spring training, Sam. So Tony Clark resigns after an internal investigation. Hats off to Jeff Passan and Dom Van Natta, who had this. So an investigation reveals an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law, who was hired by the union in 2023. Sam Yarnell. We still don't know who's going to replace Tony Clark, by the way. And in all of this, that to me is still the big question that I think we all need to get an answer to is who's replacing him? Like there is literally no structure in place for who succeeds him, which is nuts that the MLBPA Constitution basically has nothing that addresses a situation like this, which is cuckoo. But Sam, inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law who was hired by the union. Have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question that we're all asking, Jason, what we're all wondering is, was it his brother's wife or his wife's sister? That is incredibly important information in all of this. It makes all of it very different, right? Not that it makes it any more acceptable either way, but I just think that the dynamics at the Thanksgiving dinner table might be a little bit different one way versus another. Yeah, this is not good for the Players Association. You know, like you, my good friend Jason Page, always like to say, discovery can get ugly, and seems to be exactly what happened. It seems like this came out within this whole lawsuit that we talked about yesterday that encompasses multiple players' unions, right? We talked about it with former Major League Players Union member David Aardsma on this very show. It is it is really like a comedy of errors almost for all of this to come down kind of as the discussion ramps up, as the season gets closer, as we prepare for our last endeavor of baseball until the end of this collective bargaining agreement. I do not think that this is going to go very well for the Major League Baseball Players Association. I think that this just about guarantees a salary cap in Major League Baseball from here on out. And players, I understand your frustration with that, but I think that at this point there's one guy to thank, and that is Tony Clark. And if not for his actions on the way out and what was discovered about him on the way out, you just have to look at the guy's track record, right? He was a guy who came in, promised to get the players paid more. And while we have seen the top of the top contracts increase, median pay has actually gone down in Major League Baseball. There are, I think, a lot of elements to this that will serve as a blessing for the Major League Players Association and prove that Tony Clark was not all he was cracked up to be at his job. But at the end of the day, Jason, this serves as a stain on one of the most powerful unions in the world, in the country at least.
But can we also say, on the idea of median salaries going down, let's be honest, some of that is collusion by the owners. There has been an attempt by owners, and we've seen it. How many times have we seen guys not get jobs until either late in spring training or early in the season because owners have basically gotten together and say, we're not going to pay the freight for some of these guys that are holding out thinking they're going to get big deals in the offseason. I'm just saying, I'm not saying there aren't things you can't blame on Tony Clark. I don't know that median salaries going down is completely his fault, though.
Well, I think the counter to that is, right, between 60 and 65% of Major League Baseball players over the last 2 seasons have played for the minimum. Right? So while what you're saying is true, when you have a contingent of players represented by the Major League Players Association, accepting more than half of them, to be fair, accepting the league minimum, that's a problem with the people negotiating the contracts from the other side, not the people offering them, I'd say.
What's interesting also, and I'm curious to hear what, and we'll get more of this reaction, I think, now as spring training is starting and we get into games and media being down there in Florida and Arizona, is what the players knew about what's going on. Because reading some of the quotes, guys were taken by surprise, which means you've got players that are in the dark about what's going on inside their own players association. And I don't remember, and we've talked about this with Nick Ferguson when it comes to the NFL, about, how much players are really tuned into what's going on behind the scenes. But it feels like if there were a players association where I thought players would be more plugged in to what was going on, I thought it would have been baseball because of how strong that union has been over the years. But now I'm getting the sense, Jameson Taillon, former player rep, said Tuesday with the Cubs, he was surprised by Clark's resignation, adding he didn't think any of us saw it coming. So there's got to be a lot of guys kind of walking around in a daze, Sam, trying to figure out how the hell we got here.
Well, and I think that's even furthermore proven, Jason, your point, by them having this alleged meeting at I think it was 4:30 yesterday afternoon to try and find an interim and not being able to come to a conclusion. This is... again, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning of the segment. This is why it is disaster, because in a bargaining year, the Players Association has shown their own weakness, right? Jamison Tyone coming out and saying something like that. If I'm on the owner's side of collective bargaining going into this winter, I'm licking my chops. Oh my gosh, we're arguing against people who don't even know their right from left and what's going on within the own organization. This is, again, really, really bad for the major league players. And if I'm the high up MLBPA players, if I'm high up a high ranking official in the MLBPA and a player like a Bryce Harper is, like these other name brand superstars are, I am irate with how much I fought as a player against all of this, only for the C-suite executives to have it all crumble at their fingertips.
Yeah, Marcus Semien said the same thing. Marcus Semien said, this happening during the investigation, not overly surprising. It still hurts. Going to be interesting. Going to be a interesting watch here over the next several months as the MLBPA tries to get its act together. Kurt Helin talks basketball next. Welcome back to the show. It's a Wednesday. I intentionally made sure to take off Thursday and Friday because I wanted to have my time with this guy. The one and only Kurt Helin, ladies and gentlemen. The pro in pro basketball talk at NBCSports.com.
They do pay me, so technically that is, I guess, correct.
So let me get this out of my system. And I know you're not allowed to agree because the All-Star game was on NBC, so you have to say it was amazing no matter what I say. Because it's like, communist China. They'll put you in a gulag otherwise. So listen. I know, to me, everybody ranting and raving about how great this All-Star game was just tells me the bar was so damn low, Kurt, that people were this excited about, they played hard for half of the 12 minutes of each game, and then I get a blowout in the last game. I mean, I'm sorry. It just...
Honestly, here's my defense of that, which is, it's the All-Star game. It is an exhibition in the middle of the season. This is about as good as it gets going to get because you can take...
You can cough. It's okay. Get it out. It's all right. I thought it was that bad, too. I agree.
No. It's somebody wore themselves down over the last couple of weeks. You can take the contact out of basketball a little and still have an entertaining product in a way you cannot do with the Pro Bowl. Would never work, right?
Right.
It doesn't work because you can't, you guys are trying to avoid getting injured. I think this is, like I said, in 3 of the 4 games, guys actually did play defense. They rotated, they got in the way, they tried. I think that's as good as you're going to get. And I thought it made a pretty entertaining product with, Kawhi dropping 31 in one and the one that went to overtime and the Scotty Barnes game winner and stuff. Like, I think that is about as good as you're going to get. And by the way, for the record, I think it's less to do with USA versus World, which may make a comeback. We'll see. And more to do with the All-Star game was always capable of being entertaining if it was close in the fourth quarter. So a system that basically just creates 4 fourth quarters got the guys to compete a little. We'll see if they buy in and do it again next year, but they did this year about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah, the thing that drove me nuts was all I saw for 2 weeks was Tears for Fears singing "Everybody Wants to Rule the World," and then the championship game is U.S. versus U.S. Like, yes. I'm sorry. You cannot stuff Tears for Fears and Wim Bam Yama down my throat and then give me U.S. versus U.S. in the championship game. I can't have it.
Well, the world team was one of my disappointments of the weekend for my, grades column, just because, and it's less, look, Wemby actually got all the credit, sparked that thing. He did play hard. No Shea, no Giannis.
Yeah.
Jokic, 1 game. Luka, 5 minutes in 1 game. Like, that's a potentially devastating roster that, was in Cancun.
Yeah. Give me a one-on-one tournament. That's what I want for the All-Star game.
I think that would be, Jaylen Brown was into it. I think that if you could get the guys to do it, it might have a dunk contest effect where I don't want to get embarrassed. But if you could actually get guys to do it, it'd be so much fun.
Yeah, I agree.
And by the way, I'll take Ant for the record.
Oh, really? I'll take Wemby.
Huh. Yeah, he is pretty good.
He is. Sam, go ahead. I think we're done with the All-Star game.
Well,
oh, no, maybe not.
Quite.
Maybe not.
One of the biggest stories of All-Star Weekend.
We're going three
didn't
segments.
Come from anything that happened during the game. You were there in person, and I'm sure saw Kevin Durant at some point. And I'm sure when you saw him, he was probably scrolling on his phone because it seems like that's what he spent the entirety of All-Star Weekend doing. Obviously, these allegations have come out with him and this burner account, and we know that he still uses burner accounts because he said so as recently as like 6 months ago. What was your reaction to seeing all these screenshots and Kevin Durant potentially being exposed for using a secondary Twitter account?
Shrug? I honestly, I know this became a thing, but like Kevin Durant trolling people on a burner account is about the least surprising thing to happen All-Star Weekend.
So you believe it's him?
What?
You believe this account that everybody's talking about is him?
Very possibly. I mean, I have no evidence either way, but that seems like something Kevin would do for entertainment. Like, it just strikes me as reasonable. So maybe yes, maybe no. I did, he was certainly there that week. I did see him a little, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like the fact that he finds that funny and engaging, and actually is like, no, this is kind of fun, as opposed to like, I don't read the comments. I'm just, I just care about what my teammates, is, on. I like that he's at least playing the game.
But I guess my question is, will there be any repercussion, not from like the league or anything? It's not their ballpark to play in. But like from Kevin Durant's teammates, he's out there calling current teammates names and stuff.
If that was him, there was a couple of comments that he's going to have to address in the locker room with Şengün, with a couple guys. So yeah, that part could get a little messy if proven. But I don't think, I'll put this, I don't think anybody takes that stuff too. Those guys are ripped on those accounts, and professional athletes in general, right? Like, they just don't, man, unlike Jason, don't read the comments. And so I think most of the guys don't. And they just kind of, there'd be some, hey, what are you talking about, man? But like, that'd be about it.
Alan in Lackawanna, I'm drinking water today. So give me your take on, in the last 90 seconds here, to just wrap up the All-Star Weekend stuff, which we wound up spending a whole segment on, even though I wasn't planning on it. Adam Silver and sort of the tanking thing, and I know you've got more to say about this that we can get into on the other side as well, but sort of the approach that's being taken here on tanking.
Yeah, first question at the press conference is, hey, basically, hey, what's up with tanking? And Adam Silver gives a 4.5 minute rambling, circular conversation, but basically ends up saying, I don't think this is good for the fans. I don't know what I can do about it. We're going to look into everything. But at the end of the day, he does admit, look, the problem is really, ultimately, this is a perfect storm year, and he talked about it. You are 3 deep with potential franchise guys, 10 deep with potential, all-stars if you talk to scouts, and the next 2 drafts are down. And teams are kind of like, all right, let's get in now. And you're going to have 9 teams, maybe 10 this right now, tanking. And that's, I don't know that you can fix it, because one player ultimately can make such a difference. If you draft, let's go through the last few. If you draft Cooper Flagg, Cade Cunningham, Anthony Edwards, Wemby's obvious, you keep going back. If you get those guys, you just changed your franchise, and it's worth it. And
the owner of the Jazz pretty much made it clear, hey, I'll pay all the fines in the world. I don't care. Yeah. We're coming back. More with Kurt Helin. More basketball to talk about with Kurt Helin of Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, who's hanging out with us. So on the tanking front, just to continue that for a moment, you got Mark Cuban out there saying, hey, embrace it. How does the league sort of, and then subsequently you've got the news that Kyrie Irving's shutting it down for the year before it ever starts. So basically the Mavericks are telling you they're tanking. I wonder at what point they shut down Cooper Flagg, although that would impact him for Rookie of the Year, so maybe they don't do that. But
not yet, yeah. The last 10 games or something is one thing, but yeah, you have to sell hope. And that's the NFL does it really well, and they don't have the tanking issue quite the same way. you ultimately have to say, hey, your team stunk this year, but you're going to land somebody. You have the potential to land somebody that's going to change this. If you're not selling that hope, then as a team, you're kind of doing it wrong, let alone the analytics of we need one of those guys to win. So again, Ryan Smith, with the owner of the Jazz, essentially said, which was, hey man, I'll pay the fines.
I'm glad that Jason mentioned them, kind of the Mavericks, that is, and how they have to kind of play this situation with Cooper Flag oddly. I think he has 11 games left that he could miss throughout the second half of the season to qualify. Right. However, it's become very apparent, especially over the last week and a half, that this 65-game minimum thing that the NBA put in is an abject disaster. Has there been any indication to you that there will be any change of the 65-game minimum either in this offseason or off seasons to come?
While there's been a lot of complaining, especially from those of us who are voters, because we're like, dude, I factored it in. Hey, count me in. I factored it in, but what I was told when I privately complained to somebody with the NBA about it recently was it's collectively bargained. It's kind of part of the CBA thing, and they're not planning to change it, not in the short term, unless there's some sort of huge blowback. We'll see what happens, because this year you've got Jokic, who can miss, like you said, Jokic can miss one more game. Wemby can miss one or two. You're down to a handful for a bunch of guys who would be first-team All-NBA, and you really start to fall apart if guys miss time. Giannis is already out. And again, if Giannis played, I don't know what he's going to end up at. His numbers might be low, but let's say Jokic misses 5 more games and plays 63 or whatever the number is. Okay, I can factor that in as a voter. I can say, all right, he's not first team because he missed too much time, but I put Kawhi on a list years ago when he was the best player in the 55 games or whatever. So I had him third team All-NBA, because to me, I was like, you've got to recognize how good he was, and how, if you're going to basically list All-NBA as the best 15 players in the league this year, he was that guy. And I'm going to factor that in. And I think not trusting the voters to do that was, I know they were trying to incentivize to get guys to play, but I think you've kind of done it backwards.
I know you have a piece up at Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. 5 things to watch for the rest of the season. What was that? Tanking. Well, tanking was number 1 on your list, you said, right? You can finish coughing. It's all right. I'll get it out. You got 5. So you got 5. Right. What's after tanking? Since we've already talked about tanking, what's the next thing to watch?
The 2 other big ones that are really good topics are watching James Harden in Cleveland the rest of the year is going to be fascinating.
I'm a bobblehead for that.
I think he makes them better, especially in the regular season. And we've already seen some of that. And I mean, this sounds weird. He's better defensively for them than Darius Garland, because Darius Garland's a thin 6'1" guard. James Harden, for all his myriad of defensive flaws,
he's got some mass. Yeah.
6'5". He is strong in the lower legs. You are not posting him up and backing him down. And he's got good hands. So, the other thing is he's so good in the pick and roll. And you saw it in the fourth quarters of a couple games where he and Jared Allen get rolling. They get the defense in rotation. The ball swings over to Donovan Mitchell. And now he's tacking a defense in rotation as opposed to a set defense. And it's worked for them. And all that said, it's fascinating because it's James Harden and we've seen him in the playoffs and we know what's coming. So I think that's one. And the other one is, guys, I'll pose this to you because I think it's the question of the second half of the year. Jason Tatum comes back, which it very much looks like he will. At least their actions imply it with what they did at the trade deadline. Best team in the East?
No. Not if the Knicks are healthy, the Knicks are the best team in the East, I still think. Not by a lot. I could see them in Boston going 7, but I still think the Knicks. And I think part of the reason is the fact that Tatum's not going to get a lot of time before the postseason starts. You know, and I think working him in, I think that means something. Sam, real quick, I want to let you weigh in on that.
Yeah, it's tough. If Cade Cunningham's the MVP because of everyone missing games, maybe it's the Pistons.
It's funny how I will just tell you teams are surprisingly not as frightened of the Pistons as you would think in the playoffs, because they can't shoot and because they really need a secondary creator. They need shooting. I will just say the real key to that ultimately comes to, can Tatum, if he can be the number 2, and you can't take, Jaylen Brown's played at an MVP level. This week, the ESPN midseason MVP rankings will come out from Tim Bontemps, and I can tell you that Brown will be in that top 5, probably somewhere between 3 and 5. He's had that kind of year. If you can't take that, you can't ask the team to now switch to having Tatum as the main guy, because he's going to be 85% of himself.
Right.
But if 85% of Tatum is better than Anthony Simons was, and if you slot him in and he's willing to accept that role, that's still a really good team. I'm with you on a healthy New York team.
Yeah.
But I will also say this really quick. The guy Harden would torture in the pick and roll, the team that Harden would torture in the pick and roll if they met in the playoffs, New York.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that. By the way, I love Jose Alvarado.
Oh, that's a great pick.
Oh, I love Jose Alvarado. That guy is a glue guy. I love him. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Check out his work there. His 5 things to watch for the rest of the season up there at Pro Basketball Talk as well. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, guys.
Welcome back to the show. Odds and Ends wraps it up 10 minutes from now. Some Olympic stuff to get to. I was watching the women's figure skating yesterday afternoon. Programming note coming up next segment as well on us being off for the next couple of days. We're here, but we're not here. Sam Yarnell, music to my ears yesterday. And I'm not the only one it was music to the ears of, and I'll explain what I'm talking about here in just a moment. So the Genesis is going on. That's Tiger Woods' tournament. One of his babies that as far as for charitable things and stuff like that. And you okay? Whoa. Are you opposed to charity?
I caught it from Kurt Helin in the last segment. I don't know what it was. It just hit me right there. That was crazy.
We're like falling apart here. So Tiger yesterday, meeting with the media, and of course the inevitable question pops up about whether or not we're going to see Tiger playing golf again this year, and at one spot in particular. Listen.
All right, final thing with you in regards to your recovery. Is the Masters off the table for you?
No. All right, time for just a few more before.
Final thing with you
love
in regards
it.
to
Give me
your
it again.
recovery. Is the Masters off the table for you?
No.
Love it.
Time for just a few
Love
more
it.
Final thing with you.
Tiger Woods playing the 2026 Masters at 50 years old, coming off the torn Achilles. Let's go.
Why do we have to keep doing this? Why? Like, at this point, it's actually fair to say, and I get it, like nostalgia, whatever. Yeah, cool. At this point, Tiger Woods would be taking away a spot in the most famous,
No,
most
he doesn't. He's
reputable
automatically.
tournament.
He's got one for the rest. He's got a spot for the rest of his life. He doesn't take a spot.
That's all fine and well. That said, still taking time away from people who could actually win the tournament. It is a waste of all of our time. There is no good reason that Tiger Woods should still be playing on the professional circuit. He should be playing senior golf. Sure. I know they have a senior Masters. Augusta hosts it 2 weeks after the Masters every year. Go play in that, Tiger. But playing in the actual Masters, competing with Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka and John Rahm and the other live guys. There's only one other live guy who's going to play in the Masters. But regardless, my point still stands. It is a waste of our time. The nostalgia thing's different. Whatever. If you want to show up and wear your green jacket and take pictures with everybody, that's one thing. And do the ceremonial first tee shot just like Arnie and just like Jack, that's one thing. Go ahead. Be my guest. I think that would be great. Playing in the field is a waste of our time.
I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Jack Nicklaus played forever. Jack Nicklaus played well past his prime, played well past the thought of anybody even thinking he had a chance to win the event. Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, all those guys played for as long as they physically could because it was the honor of being able to play in that event, having been a past winner. Fred Couples plays every year. Fred Couples has no shot of winning. Nobody's
That's
saying
another one I
Fred,
have an issue
but
with.
nobody's saying Fred Couples shouldn't play in the tournament. Maybe you are.
I think people say every year that Fred Couples should hang it up, and this is probably going to be his last Masters, and then he somehow finds his way back every year.
And he'll wind up making the cut. So I mean, look, I'm just saying, I have no problem with it, and I'll tell you who else has no problem with it. And this is the different sort of argument on this whole thing. The PGA Tour is encouraging this because you know where I got that clip I just played? The PGA Tour was the first ones to blast it out front and center. They still want that Tiger audience, and they still know, these guys are in the know. They know that there's still an audience, a hankering for Tiger Woods to be out there in the field, come that Sunday in April, or that Thursday in April, that Friday in April, if that's all he winds up playing. I still think it's a question as to whether he can even play or not. I know he's trying to keep his options open because if you also watched that press conference, he made it very clear. Look, the digit hit 5. He knows realistically there's a chance he may not be able to make it back in time for this. But I think it's great. It's just something else to get you excited about golf, whether he plays or not. It's something to at least talk about. And if you're golf, you just want people talking about you.
I do think there is humor in all of this. If you listen to what the question is, are you ruling out the Masters in February? And all he says is no. And here we are talking about this guy like it's Friday and he's a shot off the lead.
March before you know it.
Yes, but again, we're still 2 months away from the Masters. I do think that there is, I did find humor in the entire golf world, rightfully so maybe, just exploding with this quote the second it was asked and taking it far beyond the actual question and answer that was asked and given by Tiger Woods. All that said, Jason, again, I'm not going to be the guy who's going to sit up here and say that Fred Couples should play in the Masters every year or Tiger Woods should keep trying to come back to the Masters. But I'm also not going to be, some level of irate if it happens.
I'll take the approach of Daniel Negreanu, Kid Poker, one of the greatest poker players of all time, who tweeted this out. This gave me chills. I don't care how he plays or if he makes the cut. There is nothing like watching Tiger Woods on the golf course in a major. Amen, Daniel Negreanu. I don't agree with much of what you put out on social media. I agree with that. We'll see if he's out there. I wonder if he'll even get a tune-up tournament, or is he just going to show up in Augusta? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It'll certainly be dramatic, no matter how it shakes down. Odds and Ends wraps things up next. All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Wednesday. Few reminders to get to. We will be here tomorrow and Friday with special editions of SportsWrap with Jason Page. Friday's show with spring training kicking into gear. We'll have an extended conversation with our friend David Aardsma, former MLB reliever and closer. We'll get into some things with him on all things baseball. Looking forward to that conversation. We had him on the show yesterday, taped some extended segments for Friday's show. And Thursday, tomorrow, we will be off as well. Special edition of Sports Wrap with Jason Page tomorrow as well. I will be traveling to Phoenix. My dog is sick. So we've got to go get him some special care. So we are driving from Las Vegas to Phoenix tomorrow to go and take care of that. So give your pets a little extra hug for me today, because I could definitely use it. All right, a couple other reminders. Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the podcast version of the show, available Monday through Friday on all of your favorite podcasting platforms: Apple, YouTube, Spotify, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. We're on every podcasting platform. Go and subscribe to our podcast. Audio, 45 minutes, there for you Monday through Friday every afternoon. We also have the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, which if you have not checked out yet, go and subscribe. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel is the place for the Everything you could possibly want with this show. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is there. Extended clips from conversations that we have during the show is there, as well as SportsWrap shorts. 1 to 3 minute long videos, top stories of the day, news breaks, boom. We're on with SportsWrap shorts. Tiger Woods announces he's coming back to, well, all right, he's not coming back. We'll see. Maybe he is. But he has a press conference and says he hasn't ruled out playing the Masters. Boom, we got a SportsWrap short for that. SportsWrap shorts available on our SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Also available on our TikTok, SportsWrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram, you guessed it, same name, SportsWrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, on this Wednesday, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. It didn't go very well for UCLA. Getting their doors blown off by Michigan State on Tuesday night. And that prompted an interesting Q&A after the game between a reporter and Mick Cronin, the head coach at UCLA. Take a listen.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, we'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the...
You really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you are.
talking.
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on, dude. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
The preparation...
Wow. Well, that was something, Sam Yarnell.
Yeah,
That's one way.
tough.
That's one way to approach it. That was a
Mick
choice.
Cronin, that's not exactly, and I don't know, maybe it's the West Coast. I'm not from there. Jason, you're more familiar with the terrain. Maybe at the UCLA School of Communications and Public Relations, that's how they teach you to have your coaches interact. But I'll just tell you this, from a PR standpoint, Mick Cronin, that's just not what you do. That's not how you go about things. I don't know, 20 minutes of real time after you ejected one of your own players from the game. This is just turning into, again, disaster class from the UCLA basketball program on levels, right? And you've got to understand, as I think many other successful college basketball programs in the Power 5 across the country do, when you have an absolutely crazy head college basketball coach, again, as many successful programs do, you have to have checks and balances above him to kind of prevent him from being able to do exactly what he did last night, right? UConn does a great job controlling a guy who's 3 times as crazy as Mick Cronin. St. John's has a collar around Rick Pitino, who's at least twice as crazy as Mick Cronin. When you get into the business of hiring a crazy college basketball coach, you have to be ready to deal with the repercussions. Clearly, UCLA is just at a point where they're not.
Yeah, and hey, Mick Cronin, win something. Win something. If you're gonna treat people like dirt, win something. Win something, you loser! I wish that was me. God, I wish Yeah, I'm raising my voice at you. What are you gonna do? Bald-headed stooge. Please. Hey, congratulations, Michaela Schifrin. Let's finish on a high. Her 12-year Olympic journey comes full circle. She wins gold in the giant slalom there at the Winter Olympics. Hats off to Michaela Schifrin.
Yeah, an incredible run.
It really is. It's amazing. Congratulations to her. A good way to wrap up the show. USA Women's Hockey will take on Canada for the gold. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys are too. Hopefully it's a better game than some of their games have been so far because they haven't been all that entertaining. Maybe we'll get a slightly closer game. Maybe, Sam? No?
Olympic Village drama all around that game. I'll be locked in, Jason.
There you go. It's going to do it for us. Hey, we'll be with you on Thursday and Friday. Back here on Monday for a regular edition of Sports Wrap. Watch Sports Wrap weekends as well. We're available. For Sam Yarnell, I'm Jason Page. Thanks to Kurt Helin. We'll see you all later.